Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Anna Manuel. Delta could soon dominate in the U.S. The COVID-19 variant is being seen in nearly every state in the U.S. Britt Conway has more from people who have seen the Delta variant up close.
We never imagined this big of an increase.
But that was before the Delta variant.
Maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, it was maybe 10% of those isolates that were sequenced. And as of last week, it appeared to be 90%.
The CEO of Cox Health, a healthcare system based in Springfield, Missouri, says they've seen a 6-fold increase in COVID-19 hospitalizations.
We're seeing younger patients, we're seeing them sicker.
He says low vaccination rates provide kindling.
Almost all of our cases are unvaccinated people.
And he says his staff is exhausted.
It's harder to know that you're risking your well-being for someone that chose not to vaccinate, that then puts both them and you at risk.
In Manatee County, Florida, 2 people are dead and 4 were hospitalized after a COVID-19 outbreak at a government office building. One person who worked in the same IT office did not catch the virus. That person was vaccinated. This county administrator worries the Delta variant could be to blame here.
The clinical presentation gives me concern that we're dealing with a very infectious variant that is quite deadly.
And according to a new study by scientists at Helix, it's growing faster in counties with lower vaccination rates. One concerning factor putting Delta on track to become dominant. I'm Britt Conway reporting.
The Elmira Police Department swore in a new officer Monday. Brooke Owen joined the force after transferring from the Tompkins County Sheriff's Office. She'd been a full-time deputy there since February of 2020. Officer Owen brings the police department up to 68 officers. The mayoral race in New York City will be the testing grounds for a new way to vote. It's called ranked choice voting, and supporters hope it'll become the norm throughout the country. Athena Jones explains how it works.
I hope you consider voting me number 1.
Hopefully I'm earning your number 1 vote.
I look for your vote for number 1.
Ranked choice voting.
Hey, NYC voters. As you may already know, New York City is introducing ranked choice voting,
seeing its first big test in New York City's Democratic mayoral race.
I think it's going to help our campaign.
Unlike past elections, instead of picking just one candidate, primary voters will be able to rank up to 5 in order of preference.
I love ranked choice voting, and I hope it's the future of democracy, not just in New York City, but around the country.
It's a complicated process.
Here's how it works. If no candidate wins more than 50% of the vote of first choice ballots, the candidate with the least support is eliminated. Their votes reallocated to their voters' second choice candidates. The process continues until someone wins a majority of votes.
Maya Wiley is our number 1 pick.
Supporters say this allows voters to have more say over who is actually elected, while avoiding expensive and time-consuming runoffs.
I'm a proponent of ranked choice voting. I co-chaired the campaign to bring it because I believe in democracy. And I believe in empowering the voice of people.
New York City launched a $15 million voter education plan in April, including community outreach and TV ads in 14 languages.
Ahora tiene la opción de clasificar hasta 5 de sus candidatos favoritos.
Some voters say they're ready.
I think ranked choice voting is a phenomenal idea.
But
you really have to read up on it.
The new system has made assessing the state of the race challenging.
It's much harder because you have to go through multiple rounds in order to determine who would come out as the winner with 50+% of the vote. The reason there are 13 people running for mayor right now is nobody has an incentive to drop out. Everybody thinks that there's some path to victory because if they're everybody's second choice, magically, they could in fact end up placing respectably or even winning.
It also means having a strategy.
How are you handling the sort of strategizing around it?
Don't try and strategize. But we are going to be everyone's number 1, and if we don't have your number 1, we want your number 2.
With such a crowded field and no one candidate expected to win a majority in the first round, being someone's second or third choice and so on matters.
If you desire to do other candidates, that's fine. Make me your second choice, but I keep it simple. Eric Adams is your first choice.
If I'm not 1, then 2. I'm good with that.
The winner of this race is heavily favored in November's general election. Still,
This very large, unprecedented experiment in ranked choice voting is going to be handled by the New York Board of Elections, which has a reputation for screwing up big changes. So I think this is going to take a while.
A New York woman is facing manslaughter charges after her 1-year-old son died Saturday. It happened when the baby became trapped between a bed and a wall in the family's Spring Valley home. Marie Dorlius left the child home alone with her 2 other children, a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. That 6-year-old is the one who ran to a neighbor for help. First responders tried to revive the baby with CPR, but it was too late. The surviving children are now in the care of Child Protective Services. The Trump Organization is suing New York City after leaders canceled a contract allowing Trump's business to operate a golf course. The former president's company had operated the Bronx golf course for years until the city scrapped the contract in the aftermath of the Capitol insurrection on January 6th. However, in a lawsuit filed in a state court Monday, the Trump Organization said the termination was wrongful. It also accused Mayor Bill de Blasio of having a politically motivated bias to terminate Trump-related contracts. But the city says the Trump Organization breached the contract. According to the city, Trump eliminated options for hosting golf championship events by inciting the Capitol riot. As COVID-related shutdowns forced office workers to stay home, big cities like New York lost a daily rhythm. Well, this summer, New York is coming alive again, with some performers happy to provide a soundtrack. Karen Kaifa takes us underground.
New York typically generates a certain rhythm, even if some players never notice their part. And after the COVID-19 pandemic silenced so many city sounds last spring, the beat is picking up this summer. The Metropolitan Transportation Authority suspended their Music Under New York program last March among COVID shutdowns. But now, musicians like Robert Anderson and his jazz band are returning to the city's subway stations.
I tell you, it feels good. Ask these guys. They know it feels very good to be able to play out here again.
The MTA Arts and Design Division typically works with a roster of more than 350 musicians and ensembles to put on thousands of transit hub performances each year. A unique artistic lifeline for Anderson and others.
We usually get gigs from out here, too. They hear us playing out here. They want a wedding. Well, can you guys play for my wedding or so-and-so? So, yeah. So that's a part of it, too.
The halting of the program halted his connection with thousands of uptown, downtown, and crosstown subway passengers.
We're not so computer savvy, so we didn't do the online thing, so we had to come out sometimes on the street and play.
MTA Arts and Design Director Sandra Bloodworth says getting performances like this one at Grand Central Station back on track had stops and starts.
We came up with a plan, and we had hoped to institute that plan last September. But with the second wave, that was not viable.
Anderson now looking forward to the audience.
It enables people to hear music that they wouldn't normally hear nowhere, like little children. I always say children. I do this basically for the kids so they can hear the jazz.
And moving the city towards something that sounds a little more familiar.
When our customers hear music, they know that the city's back, that New York is back.
In New York, I'm Karen Kaifa.
A new study suggests working from home is helping people save money. 57% of those surveyed say working from home has a positive effect on their finances. While the study doesn't drill down exactly why that is, it's not too difficult to extrapolate. Working from home cuts costs associated with commuting, eating meals out, and in some cases, childcare. But those savings appear to have benefited those who need them the least. The survey found the more money you make, the more likely you are to be able to work from home. So far, just over a quarter of the people who said they started working at home due to COVID have made full-time returns to office settings. Tinder is launching some new features this summer. The dating app will now allow videos within users' profiles. It's also created a social experience called Hot Takes. Think speed dating online. Users can exchange flirty banter with someone before matching. As a timer counts down, they can choose to match with that person or let it expire and meet someone new. Hot Takes is available every day from 6 p.m. to midnight. Tinder is also launching a new Explore section later this summer where users can find potential matches based on similar interests. Still ahead tonight, why your summer vacation plans could hit some serious turbulence if you plan to fly. Plus, you'll have a chance to see a Yankees great inducted into the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown as the induction ceremony returns at full capacity. Details coming up.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. An overcast sky and with north winds, temperatures a lot colder today than they were yesterday. Our high, or official high, was actually reached around midnight in the 60s, but those temperatures continued to tumble. So in the afternoon, readings were only in the 50s compared to yesterday, where it was 90 degrees in Elmira. And so 23-degree drop for today. In Elmira, 26 degrees cooler in Corning, 27 degrees cooler in Watkins Glen. So a big, significant drop in our temperatures. As we head into tomorrow, we are expecting temperatures to be a little bit warmer. We are expecting a little bit more sunshine as well, but we're going to start off with some patchy fog early tomorrow morning. Temperature readings will be chilly in the 40s, and then we gradually warm up to around 57 degrees by 8 o'clock. Winds will be coming from the west-southwest, and so it is going to bring a little bit warmer air. High pressure will be located to our south tomorrow, and the flow around that high will bring those south winds into our area. But it is going to be pleasant. It's going to be pretty nice for your Wednesday, and I think we will continue with pleasant conditions through the end of the week, rain-free through your Friday. But we have another storm system that will travel from the Great Lakes region right over our area, and so that will result in a little bit of rain over the weekend. But if you're doing any yard work tomorrow, a perfect day to do it. Temperature readings around 61 degrees, partly cloudy skies at 9, 70 degrees by noon, and then by 3 o'clock, readings will be around 73 degrees with a mostly sunny sky. So here's a recap. Temperatures tonight dropping down into the low 40s. We are expecting some patchy fog to develop in the overnight hours just due to the moisture in our ground. And of course, those temperatures will be very close to the dew points. A pleasant day tomorrow. Is not going to be humid, just perfect. 74 degrees in Elmira, 75 degrees in Corning. So a lot warmer than today, 72 for you in Perkinsville. Here's a look at your extended forecast. We're going to continue with the warming trend through the rest of the week. Plenty of sunshine on Thursday and Friday. Highs around 81 degrees. Notice those overnight lows will also climb up as well due to those south winds. So 53 degrees our overnight low from Thursday into Friday, and then we climb into the 60s as a little bit more moisture returns for the weekend. Chances of showers and a few thunderstorms could be possible. Highs by Sunday will be close to around 90 degrees, and then we have another cold front that will knock those temperatures back down into the lower 80s by the middle of next week.
A violent assault and abduction was all caught on camera in New Jersey over the weekend. Police say it all started when a group of people tried to walk out on their bill at a restaurant. When the server chased them into the parking lot, things turned ugly. Matt Petrillo has more.
She's obviously traumatized by the event.
Police say surveillance video from Saturday night shows a waitress in the red confronting a group of alleged dine-in dashers before they allegedly forced the waitress into their white Dodge Durango. That's where police say they assaulted her and then took off down Route 42.
There's a brazen abduction, robbery, aggravated assault, possible kidnapping.
Police say the incident happened outside this Washington Township Nifty 50s restaurant after a group of people ate and left without paying their $70 bill.
We're asking for the public's assistance in trying to help identify the owner of the vehicle and to go on our Facebook page and help identify the suspects in the photo. So there's 5 individuals. 3 males and 2 females.
Police also say the suspects eventually kicked out the victim a short distance away on the side of Route 42. She was able to walk back to Nifty 50s. The co-owner says dine and dashers here are far and few between.
Our customers are great. This is just a really isolated incident.
Now customers we talk to are hoping police catch those suspects.
It's sad, but hopefully they find who did it and it'll get a little bit better.
Meantime, officers encourage anyone who sees a crime to not intervene, but instead try to be a good witness.
Try and get a license plate, obviously. Try and be able to identify the accused and call 911. We don't recommend chasing customers in the parking lots.
The Baseball Hall of Fame is returning to full capacity for this year's induction ceremony. It's scheduled for September 8th on the grounds of the Clark Sports Center in Cooperstown. The Hall of Fame is expecting a large crowd. The 2019 ceremony welcomed about 55,000 people. Last year's ceremony was postponed due to the pandemic. The 2020 Baseball Hall of Fame class is headlined by New York Yankees shortstop Derek Jeter. Marvin Miller, Larry Walker, and Ted Simmons will also be inducted. During the pandemic, while many Americans stayed home, practiced social distancing, and focused more on hygiene, flu cases nearly disappeared. But a new study shows that that's not the only winter bug that saw a significant number of cases decrease. Mandy Gaither has more in today's Health Minute.
It's a silver lining in the dark cloud that's hovered over this past year. While flu cases nearly disappeared during the pandemic, in a study published in the medical journal JAMA Internal Medicine, researchers looking at data from the University of Wisconsin Health found a range of respiratory infections significantly decreased the past flu season as well. Winter seasonal bugs like the flu, respiratory viruses, and seasonal coronaviruses currently average 12 per month, compared with 4,800 per month in previous seasons at that hospital. They also report prescriptions for antibiotics fell by 79%, but don't expect those lower numbers to stay.
People are getting all kinds of viruses because we've just been apart from one another.
The study's researchers say data suggests masks, social distancing, and other health measures used during the pandemic may have helped keep cases for other illnesses lower. But with more people getting back to normal, experts say there's a concern for next flu season.
It's going to be hard to distinguish what's COVID-19, what's influenza, what's all these other things, and so we really need to be ramping up testing right now.
And while the COVID-19 vaccine protects against coronavirus, health experts say to remember it won't stop you from getting sick from other viruses. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A big weekend for air travel as a pandemic-era record number of passengers were screened at airports across the country. But as more passengers take to air travel, airlines are struggling to keep up with demand. Mandy Gaither reports.
It's a pandemic-era record. 2.1 million passengers screened at airports across the country Sunday, the most since March 2020. The record marks the 5th day this month that air travel figures have exceeded 2 million passengers.
I've certainly seen the airplane loads, the airports. As I travel through the airports, they're much busier. In some instances, they look completely normal.
But carriers are struggling to keep up with this surge of passengers. United's CEO predicting there could be a pilot shortage in the U.S.
The military produces far fewer pilots today than they did, in the Vietnam and Cold War era. And it's hard to become a pilot, a commercial airline pilot, on your own if you're not going through the military.
Flight tracking site FlightAware says American Airlines canceled 6% of all flights on Sunday. The airline cites labor issues with both its own crews and contractors and says it's rebooking passengers on new flights in advance through mid-July. In a statement, a spokesperson for the airline says, "We made targeted changes with the goal of impacting the fewest number of customers by adjusting flights in markets where we have multiple options for reaccommodation." Adding, "We never want to disappoint and feel these schedule adjustments will help ensure we can take good care of our customers and team members and minimize surprises at the airport." For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A baby who was born so premature he was given a 0% chance of survival recently celebrated his first birthday. Richard Scott William Hutchinson was born 5 months prematurely, weighing in at less than a pound. In just 21 weeks gestation, the Guinness Book of World Records has recognized him as the world's most premature baby. Richard was so small his parents could hold him in the palm of their hand. Due to the pandemic, his parents Rick and Beth were unable to stay overnight with him at the hospital. Finally, after spending more than 6 months in the hospital, Richard was able to go home with his family. A Kentucky man has been released from medical care after battling COVID-19 for more than 200 days in the hospital. Reporter Olivia Russell was there when Gary Taylor left for the rehab center and files this report.
A well-deserved round of applause, hugs, and tears of happiness. After 263 days, Gary Taylor is finally going home.
I feel great going home.
I think prayers really helped get him through. So we're blessed.
Prayers and a lot of help from the staff at Baptist Health, St. Joseph Continuing Care, and Mayfair Manor.
He just had to do a lot of work from everything. I mean, he was in the hospital for a very long time, and there wasn't really any aspect that he didn't have to work on to get to where he is today.
Taylor was first hospitalized in October of 2020. He spent 4 months on a ventilator and worked to regain his skills since then.
He's just been an inspiration to not only other patients and families and everything, but to myself as a therapist and to all of our staff here, just to see all of our hard work pay off and to see him succeed and go home today.
Now, as he says goodbyes to his Mayfair family, he's looking forward to hugging his own family, his wife, children, and grandchildren.
You don't know what family's like until you get to the point you think you're not going to be around them again. But I've got a good one.
A family waiting to finally welcome him home.
Reports of the planet Venus's death may have been premature. New research from NASA found the second planet from the sun might still be geologically active. Scientists took a new look at radar images of Venus's surface from the 1990s, and it appears they found proof of tectonic motion. They say it looks like crust blocks on the surface of Venus moved alongside each other like chunks of packed ice. Scientists say this discovery about Venus could help them study exotic planets outside of our solar system. We want to leave you with a smile tonight. What do you do when you're swamped with Amazon packages that you were not supposed to receive in the first place? A woman in New York faced that conundrum after this happened at her house. She received more than 150 boxes of children's mask brackets that were supposed to be delivered somewhere else. Amazon initially couldn't figure out what went wrong, so she was told to keep the packages. So Jillian Cannon, who owns a creative studio, decided to put those brackets to a good use. She and her business partner turned some of them into mask kits for the patients at a local children's hospital. Wow, creative and productive. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a good night, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.